Above your head right now, there burns a star. You sense its heat upon your face. You watch its glow fill the heavens. It seems immediate, like the sun and earth are linked by something instantaneous, something that could never be broken without you sensing it immediately. Yet here is a truth almost no one pauses to consider. Should that sun vanish this very instant, not fade, not detonate, but simply be wiped from being, you would notice nothing. Not for 8 minutes. Not for 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Precisely. You would remain inside a false that the cosmos had not yet finished delivering. And you will continue living inside it, calm and ignorant, for longer than it takes to boil water and sip the cup. Consider carefully what that truly signifies. For 8 full minutes, all you perceive and feel from that star would be a transmission from a sun that has already stopped being. You would be warmed by a phantom, illuminated by a recollection, and you will possess absolutely no method, from where you stand, to distinguish a living sun from a dead one. Why 8 minutes? Why not at once? What is actually crawling across 93 million miles of void to reach you? And why can it never, under any condition, travel 1 instant quicker? Because the answer to that single question does not merely explain sunlight. It silently redefines what you believe the word now even signifies. Let us begin with something you already understand, even if you have never quite expressed it. Sunlight is not immediate. You have likely heard this fact tossed out as trivia. Light from the sun requires roughly 8 minutes to arrive here. Most people nod, store it away, and forget it. But sit with it a moment, because the consequences are far stranger than the fact itself. The sun rests about 93 million miles distant. Light is the swiftest phenomenon in existence. Nothing in the entire universe moves more quickly. It travels near 186,000 miles each second. At that velocity, a beam could circle Earth 7.5 times in the span it takes you to speak the word second aloud. Still, even at that unimaginable pace, sunlight needs 8 minutes and 20 seconds to bridge the gap between the sun and your eyes. That is how immense the emptiness is. The fastest thing that exists still requires the better part of 10 minutes just to reach the closest star to your face. So the sunlight touching you right now did not depart the sun a moment past. It left over 8 minutes ago. When you glance upward, please never stare directly at it. But when you look toward it, you are not observing the sun as it currently is. You are observing the sun as it existed 8 minutes deep into its own history. You have never, not once in your life, seen the sun in the present. Nobody ever has. Every sunrise you have witnessed had already occurred 8 minutes before the image reached you. Dawn is always old news by the time it gets here. That idea alone is strange enough, yet it is only the surface. Beneath it lies a far deeper, far more unsettling question, and almost nobody thinks to ask it. This is where nearly everyone halts. They accept that light is delayed. They shrug and continue onward. But there's a far deeper inquiry hiding beneath, and it alters everything. We had discussed the sun's light, yet the sun does something else to Earth, something far more powerful than merely shining upon it. The sun holds the Earth. It grasps our entire planet with gravity and swings in a vast circle year after year at 67,000 miles per hour. Without that hold, there would be no orbit whatsoever. Earth would simply fly away into darkness in a straight line forever. Thus, here is the question almost no one considers. We understand the sun's light takes 8 minutes to arrive, but what about its pull? What about gravity itself? When the sun tugs upon Earth, is that tug instantaneous? Does gravity span 93 million miles the very moment it is required? Or does it, like light, require time to travel across that enormous distance? For most of human history, the answer seemed utterly obvious. Gravity was believed to be instantaneous, immediate, a force reaching across any distance with zero delay, as though the sun and Earth were joined by an invisible, infinitely swift cord. The old physics treated gravity as something that simply existed everywhere simultaneously, updating the instant anything, anywhere, shifted. And if that were correct, our thought experiment collapses. If gravity is truly instant, then the moment the sun disappeared, Earth would feel it at once. It would break free from orbit immediately, even while leftover sunlight kept arriving for another 8 minutes. Darkness would come late, but the release would come now. Yet that old answer proved false. Deeply, beautifully false. To understand why the old answer failed, you must first grasp exactly what it claimed. For about 2 centuries, the accepted law of gravity was elegant and simple. It stated that every object possessing mass pulls upon every other object, and the strength of that pull depends on just 2 things: how much mass each object holds and how far apart they are. Larger masses pull harder, greater distances pull weaker. That is the entire rule. And that single rule predicted planetary motion, the return of comets, and the moon's orbit with breathtaking, nearly unreasonable accuracy. But hidden quietly inside that beautiful law was an assumption almost no one questioned. The mathematics presumed the pull depended on where the 2 objects were right now, this very instant. If the sun moved, the force upon Earth changed immediately, regardless of how far apart they stood. The information about the sun's position was, in effect, present everywhere in the universe at the exact same time. For everyday purposes, this worked flawlessly. The planets do not move quickly enough for anyone to ever detect a delay. The predictions match the night sky perfectly. So why would anyone doubt it? Because when you push that assumption to its absolute limit, it claims something impossible. It claims a change over here could affect something 1 billion light years away instantly, faster than light. In fact, infinitely fast with no travel time whatsoever. The pull would carry information across the entire cosmos in literally no time at all. And that quietly violated a rule the universe appears to take extremely seriously, a speed limit that seems woven into reality's very fabric. So hold on to this loop, because we will return to it, and it will reward you. Nothing, absolutely nothing, is permitted to travel faster than light. Not matter, not energy, not information. And as we are about to discover, not gravity either. A grid of stretched fabric, a heavy sphere lowered onto it, the grid dimpling downward. Here is the twist that changed everything. A little over a century ago, a new image of gravity emerged, and it discarded the old notion of gravity as a force reaching across empty space. In this new view, gravity is not a rope. It is not a pull stretching invisibly from one object to another. Gravity is what mass does to space itself. Picture space and time not as an empty stage upon which events occur, but as a kind of fabric, a flexible 4-dimensional sheet that can bend, stretch, and curve. Now lower a massive object like the sun onto that fabric. The sun sinks into it, carving a deep well, a dimple, a curved valley in space's shape all around it. And Earth is not being tugged by any rope at all. Earth is simply rolling along that curved fabric, following the natural slope carved out by the sun's mass. What we have always named an orbit is really just Earth taking the straightest possible path through a region of space bent into a curve. There is no rope. There is no reaching. There is only geometry. Now, here is why that completely transforms our question. If gravity is the shape of space, then asking, how fast does gravity travel, quietly becomes an entirely different question. It becomes, how fast can a change in space's shape spread outward across the fabric? And the answer that cracked everything open, is that changes in the fabric of space do not happen instantly, not even close. When a mass moves, changes, or vanishes, the curvature must update itself, and that update ripples outward across the fabric like a wave spreading across a pond surface. That wave possesses a speed, a finite, fixed, unbreakable speed. It travels at exactly the speed of light, not a fraction faster. So gravity, it turns out, is not instant at all. Gravity is delayed by precisely the same amount as light. And that single fact is about to make our thought experiment far stranger than you expect. So let us finally run the experiment correctly. Let us make the sun disappear. And this time, let us do it with the real physics. Before we proceed, one honest note, because truth genuinely matters here. The sun cannot actually vanish. Mass and energy cannot simply be erased from existence. The laws of physics flatly forbid it. So this is a thought experiment, a tool for revealing how the universe truly behaves, not a prediction of something that could ever actually occur. But the delay at the heart of it is completely, verifiably real. And that delay is what we are pursuing. So at this very instant, the sun ceases to exist, gone. What happens next? For the first fraction of a second, nothing. The sky remains bright. And crucially, Earth is still orbiting. It is still curving smoothly through space, still held in its great circle, because a dimple in space's fabric remains present. The information that the sun is gone has not arrived yet. It is racing toward us across 93 million miles, but it is racing at light speed and no faster. 1 minute passes. Sunlight still streams downward. Earth still orbits, blissfully unaware. For minutes, much of the light already in transit has arrived, but the last of it is still coming. Earth swings onward, feeling nothing. 8 minutes. 8 minutes and 20 seconds. And then, in a single instant, two things occur at exactly the same moment. The sky goes dark and Earth's orbit releases. The curvature flattens. The invisible grip lets go, and our planet stops curving. It flies off in a perfectly straight line, tangent to the orbit it had faithfully held for 4.5 billion years, out into the freezing black. The darkness and the release arrive together, not one before the other, not even a fraction of a second apart, because there were never two separate messengers. They were carried at the very same speed, the speed of light, the one hard limit the universe enforces without exception. And here is something I genuinely want your answer to. In those 8 silent minutes, with the sun already gone but its sunlight still falling upon your face, was it daytime or was it night? Leave your answer in the comments, because I honestly do not believe there is a clean one, for what we have just uncovered is not really about the sun at all. It concerns a hidden delay quietly embedded in absolutely everything you will ever see. Let us go deeper now, because there is a mechanism here worth understanding properly, not just accepting on faith. The key idea is this. In the modern picture, gravity is not an instruction being sent from the sun directly to Earth. There is no signal that reaches out and whispers, "Pull now." Instead, the sun continuously shapes the space immediately around it, and Earth continuously responds to the shape of the space it actually occupies, the space right there where Earth sits and nowhere else. This is a subtle shift, but it is enormous. Earth does not feel the distant sun directly. Earth only ever feels the geometry of its own local patch of space. And that local geometry was carved into shape by the sun a little over 8 minutes ago, because that is precisely how long the curvature took to propagate outward and reach Earth's distance in the first place. So when the sun vanishes, the geometry right where Earth sits does not yet know. It still holds the exact shape it was given. Earth keeps faithfully rolling along that shape, that stale 8-minute-old curve, until the news finally arrives.
And the news here is a ripple in space-time itself. A wave of flattening curvature racing outward at light speed, smoothing away the dimple as it travels. And this is where the two delays finally lock together into one clean, beautiful picture. Light is a wave in the electromagnetic field. A gravitational change is a wave in the fabric of space-time. Both are disturbances rippling through fields that fill all space. And every such disturbance is bound by the exact same cosmic speed limit, roughly 186,000 miles per second. Now here's the thing. Most people never realize that number is not really the speed of light in the narrow sense of sunbeams and flashlights. It is the speed of causality. It is the absolute maximum rate at which any cause anywhere in the universe is permitted to produce an effect somewhere else. Light just happens to travel at that limit because light carries no mass to slow it. Gravity travels at that limit for the very same reason. That is why the darkness and the orbital release arrive in the very same instant. It was never coincidence, and it was never a tie in some race. Both are causes propagating outward at the one speed the universe permits. Light and gravity are not two runners who happen to finish together. They are bound by a single shared law that says no cause of any kind ever outruns this limit. Not once, not anywhere. And once you truly absorb that gravity, light, and every possible signal share one universal speed, you simply cannot look up at the sky the same way again. Because it means the 8-minute-old sun is only the very beginning of the story. Now, let us take this delay and scale it up, all the way up until it quietly swallows the entire cosmos. The sun is 8 light minutes away. So you see it 8 minutes into its past.
Fine.
But now look past the sun, out into the deep night. The next nearest star to us sits a little over 4 light years away. That means the light entering your eyes from that star tonight left its surface more than 4 years ago. You are not seeing that star as it is. You are seeing it as it was 4 years back. If it flared or dimmed or shuddered in any manner over the past few years, you have no way of knowing. That information is still in transit right now, still crossing the enormous gulf between us, and it will not arrive for years yet. Push much farther out. The faint smudge of the nearest large galaxy to our own lies about 2.5 million light-years distant. The light reaching your eye from it tonight left before your species existed in anything like its modern form. You are looking at an object as it appeared 2.5 million years ago. You are quite literally staring directly into deep time with your own 2 eyes. A distant star visibly dying in a silent flash, while its old light continues traveling outward toward a tiny Earth. And here is the part that unsettles people the most. Some of the stars scattered across your night sky may not exist anymore. A star 5,000 light-years away shows you light that left it 5,000 years ago. If that star died 1,000 years ago, its final light is still arriving. It will keep arriving night after night for another 4,000 years. You are looking at a star that is already gone, a corpse still glowing quietly in your sky long after its death. The night sky, then, is not a photograph of the universe as it is right now. It is not even a single shared moment. It is a vast collage of 1,000 different pasts all layered directly on top of one another. Every single point of light shows you a completely different slice of history, depending only on how far away it happens to sit. The closer objects are relatively recent. The distant ones are unimaginably ancient, and not one thing you see up there is happening now. There is no single shared now written anywhere across that sky. There is only a great stack of delayed messages, each one older the farther it has traveled to reach you. And you, standing on Earth's surface, tilting your head back to look up, you are reading the universe's mail, and every letter of it arrives late. So let us finally name the thing we have actually discovered here, because it is enormously bigger than the sun. Everything you perceive reaches you as delayed information. Everything, not just the distant stars. Everything, without a single exception. The sun, 8 minutes late. The nearest star, 4 years late. A distant galaxy, millions of years late. But the delay does not politely stop at astronomical distances. It is right there in the room with you, at this very moment. The face of a person standing across the room. The light bouncing off their face takes a few billionths of a second to reach your eyes. Then your retina takes time to react. Then the signal must crawl up your optic nerve to your brain. Then your brain takes tens of milliseconds to assemble that raw signal into the finished image you actually experience. By the time you consciously see someone's face, the exact moment you are seeing is already gone. The delay is tiny, but it is never, ever zero. You have never perceived the present moment. Not once in your entire life. Everything you have ever seen, everything you have ever heard, everything you have ever felt was already in the past by the time it reached your awareness. The now you feel so certain you live inside is a reconstruction, quietly stitched together by your brain out of information that is always, unavoidably, at least a little bit old. We move through our lives feeling like we are in direct, immediate contact with reality, as though now is a solid place we get to stand inside.
But we do not stand inside now.
We simply cannot. The universe has a hard speed limit. And that speed limit guarantees that every single piece of reality reaches us slightly after it actually happened. Every one of us is always living a fraction of a second behind the true present. And for the sun overhead, 8 full minutes behind. That delay is not a flaw in your eyes or a weakness in your brain. It is built directly into the deepest structure of the universe itself. Take a moment to really feel the full weight of that. The present moment, the true, actual, happening right now instant of the universe, is something you will never once directly touch. It is always just barely out of reach, arriving a beat too late, no matter how fast you move or how close you stand. Reach out and press your hand against a wall, and even the sensation of touching it must travel all the way up your arm to your brain before you feel it. You are always, at every scale, experiencing a world that has, in the tiniest, most unavoidable sense, already ended. There is something almost haunting in that we spend our whole lives utterly certain that we are in contact with reality, that what we see is simply what is, but what we see is only ever what was. We are surrounded at every scale imaginable by ghosts. Light from stars that may already be dead. Warmth from a sun 8 minutes deep in its own past. The faces of the people we love, already a heartbeat gone by the time we register them. And yet, and this is the part one find genuinely, quietly beautiful, it all still works. The delay does not shatter reality. It does not make the world unreliable or untrustworthy, because the delay is lawful. It is constant. It is universal. And it is exactly the same for everyone and everything everywhere. The universe never lies to us. It simply always tells us the truth a little late. And it does so with perfect, unwavering mathematical consistency. And that consistency is the very thing that lets us make any sense of anything at all. We are creatures who have never seen the present, not once. And yet somehow, out of nothing but old light and delayed signals and echoes of a past that keeps endlessly washing over us, we have reconstructed the true now we can never actually see. We built an entire understanding of the cosmos out of ghosts. And maybe that is the strangest and most human thing of all, that we should be forever locked out of the present, and yet feel so completely, so unshakably at home in it. So, let us return to exactly where we began. Right now, above your head, there is a star. You can feel its warmth. You can see its light. And you have no way, none whatsoever, of knowing whether it is still actually there. It could have vanished a full minute ago, 2 minutes ago, 6. Somewhere out in space, 93 million miles away, the sun might already be gone, and you would be standing exactly where you are, bathed in its light, orbiting an empty patch of space, with the news still racing silently toward you at the only speed the universe permits. You would have no warning, no sign, no hint at all, just warmth and light pouring down from a source that no longer exists for a few minutes more. We tend to think of the sun as the most present, most obvious, most undeniable thing in all of our lives. It is right there. But it is not quite there, is it? It is 8 minutes and 20 seconds away, a distance measured not in miles, but in time. And inside that 8-minute gap lives one of the deepest truths in all of physics, that now is not something the universe ever simply hands to you. It is something you will spend your entire existence chasing, and never once quite catch. So the next time the sunlight falls warm across your face, remember what it is you are truly feeling, not the sun as it is, but the sun as it was. A message 8 minutes old, sent by a star you can only ever choose to trust is still burning. If this rearranged something in how you see the sky, subscribe. Every video here pulls one more thread out of the universe you thought you understood. Above your head right now, there is a star.